All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to demystify a tool that can take a total mess of data and turn it into something that actually makes sense: Microsoft Excel. If you've ever opened a spreadsheet and just kind of stared at it, feeling a little lost, you are in exactly the right place.
So, have you ever found yourself looking at just a huge wall of names and numbers and dates, and your brain just kind of shuts down? Yeah, you're not alone. Raw information can be super overwhelming, and honestly, it's hard to even know where to start.
And this slide, this is exactly what we're talking about. On the left, you've got that chaos, right? Just a jumble. But on the right, that's the clarity you can get with Excel. It's the same information, just organized. And that transformation is exactly what we're going to walk through step by step. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the basics. What even is Excel? Then we'll look at its key parts. After that, we'll get our hands dirty entering and formatting some data, unlock the real magic with formulas, learn how to analyze our info, and then, to wrap it all up, we'll put everything together in your first little project.
All right, first up, let's tackle that big, basic question. What is Excel, really? And why is it so incredibly useful for organizing? Well, just about anything you can think of.
So, at its heart, Excel is what we call a spreadsheet application. But what does that fancy term even mean? Well, simply put, it's a program that's built from the ground up to do a few things really well. Store your data in neat tables, crunch numbers and do calculations for you, help you analyze all that information, and then, finally, wrap it all up in clean, easy-to-read reports.
And hey, this isn't just for giant corporations or anything. You see people using Excel for, well, everything. From employee salary sheets and student grade lists to tracking your own personal budget, or even just logging who showed up for a project. That versatility, that's what makes it such a powerhouse.
Okay, so we know what it is. Now let's learn the lingo. To really get comfortable with Excel, you've got to know the basic vocabulary. So let's break down the anatomy of a spreadsheet.
First things first, a super common point of confusion: workbook versus worksheet. But it's actually really simple. Think of the workbook as the entire book. It's the whole Excel file. The worksheet is just a single page, or one of those tabs at the bottom, inside that book. And you can have a whole bunch of worksheets inside just one workbook.
All right, now let's zoom in to the most fundamental building block of any spreadsheet: the cell. You can just think of the whole sheet as a giant grid made up of these little boxes, and each one is created where a vertical column and a horizontal row cross paths. This gives every single cell a unique address, like A1 or B2.
And here's a perfect picture of that. You see column A going down and row 1 going across. Where they meet, boom, you get cell A1. That simple little address is the absolute key to everything, because it's how you tell Excel exactly which piece of data you want to mess with.
All right, theory's over. We've got the vocabulary down. Now it's time for the fun part. Let's get practical and start bringing a spreadsheet to life by actually putting some data in and making it look good.
So, in any one of those little cells, you can pop in a few different kinds of data. The most common ones you'll use are text, like someone's name, numbers, like a salary, and of course, dates. The cool thing is, Excel is usually smart enough to figure out which one you're typing in.
And here we go, you can see it in action. Let's pretend we're building a simple employee salary sheet. We just click in a cell and type Ravi under the name column, HR for his department, and then his salary. See? It's really that simple to start building out your table.
But let's be honest, just a block of text and numbers isn't very easy on the eyes. And that's where formatting makes a world of difference. Super simple things like making your headers bold, adding some borders to your cells, or setting the salary column to a currency format can take your sheet from messy to professional in just a few clicks.
Okay, get ready, because now we're getting to the part that makes Excel an absolute game changer. Let's talk about formulas and functions. This is truly the brains of the whole operation.
So let's get two key terms straight. A formula is any calculation you type in yourself, like telling Excel, hey, add cell A2 and B2 together. A function, on the other hand, is like a pre-built shortcut that Excel already knows, like the sum function. But here's the real magic. With either of them, if the numbers you're using ever change, the result updates automatically. No more whipping out a calculator and redoing everything by hand.
Now, one of the most powerful functions you'll ever learn is the if function. It basically lets you teach Excel how to make a decision. And it works in 3 really simple steps. First, you give it a logical test, a question to check, like is the number in A2 greater than 35? Second, you tell it what to do if the answer is yes. And third, you tell it what to do if the answer is no. It's literally like teaching your spreadsheet how to think for you.
So our data is in, our formulas are working, now it's time to start making sense of it all. It's time to ask our data some questions, and that's where tools like sorting, filtering, and charts come into play.
Okay, these are two super simple but incredibly powerful ways to dig into your information. You can sort your data in a click to see, for instance, who has the highest salary. Or you can apply a filter to just temporarily hide everything except for, say, employees in the IT department. It lets you cut through the noise and focus on exactly what you need to see.
And from there, the next logical step is to visualize it. I mean, why stare at a column of numbers when a simple chart can show you the answer in a split second? Our brains are just wired to understand pictures way faster than lists of data, so charts make those insights pop right off the screen.
All right, you've seen the theory, you've met the tools. Now it's time to roll up our sleeves and put it all into practice with your very first Excel project. It is time to build.
But before you dive in, let me give you a quick pro tip. Seriously, learning just a few keyboard shortcuts will make you feel like a wizard. I'd start with these essential ones: save, undo, copy, paste, and my personal favorite, AutoSum, which literally creates a sum formula for you with one key press.
Okay, so here's your challenge. I want you to open up Excel and actually try this right now. Create a simple sheet with the columns you see on the screen. Then, use a basic formula to calculate a total salary. And finally, practice using that awesome if function we talked about to add a label. Trust me, the best way to learn this stuff is by doing it.
And just like that, we've gone from a blank, intimidating sheet to a dynamic little report. We've learned that Excel isn't really about grids and numbers at all. It's a tool for finding answers and creating clarity out of chaos. So that leaves us with just one final question. Now that you have the tools, what story is your data going to tell?